want you to stop spreading information about majority of black women are having babies by deadbeats. First of all, black women ain't even having kids no more in
I
surplus.
just said deadbeats. Bums is different.
Hold on, let go. You gotta let it finish.
Moms, deadbeats, I don't care what you call it, because every statistic in America at this point in time, blackstatistics.org, all of that denounces your entire argument. One, black women not even having kids like that no more. First of all, and that's including teen pregnancies as well across the board. All of that is low. Secondly, at this very moment, it's 48% of black men who actually do have children, and the 18% that father majority of the children of the 2/3 of women, black men still lead the highest demographic of most active fathers. So referring to them as bums also, it's not giving what you think it gave. Then the final thought on that is, at this very moment, black men still make more than black women, and black men are still having to deal with all the stresses of child support and alimony and everything else that white men and Indian men and Mexican men and all the rest of them got to deal with. So at the end of the day, your whole points about that are null and void. You can't keep saying that shit, especially with your platform. You can't keep lying on us like this.
Most women's first baby daddy was a bum.
All right, let me go ahead and get Trev in there.
So that's what that is.
Go ahead, Trev.
Yeah, I think that the one of the main reasons that when women boss up and avoid men that are doing their thing too is not just because they're harder to obtain, because those men are ready and available a lot of times. It's just that they're not willing to deal with what comes with that man, right? There's the structure that he provides is sometimes overwhelming for some women, right? There's a lot. You can't come with that nonsense that you were doing with the whoever else you were dealing with in your life that was not that man, right? There's order, right? And there's a certain way that he's going to do things. There's a certain amount of demand that he has. And like LetGo was alluding to earlier, that power is hard for them to let go. And you can't overpower a man like that at all, right? The second point I wanted to make was how men are not usually put in position, right? And it's embarrassing sometimes for a man to have to be put into that position by a female, right? Unless you have a really nurturing, understanding woman who really cares for you, right? So, but that's not always common. A lot of times women expect you to have everything in order first. You at least need to be on their level. But that's not how we do it. We can have a woman who's not in position, and we're going to go ahead and pay for them books. We're going to do everything that we need to do to get you through that college if we have to. We'll do everything to make sure we'll talk to our people to put you on and everything. We are more willing to do that. And there's no problem with that, right? You're not embarrassed to receive that help. And we are certainly willing to aid you in whatever it is to level you up so you can get as close to us as possible. So I think that women sometimes just have to think about men that they're choosing, right? And try to base it more so off of his character. Forget about, and I understand you can't have somebody who's not trying to do anything, right? You want a man who's about his business. That's understood, right? Because at the end of the day, we expect women to do that, right? Me personally, I wouldn't want to be with a woman who is just elevated so high over me that I can't do anything. And that's mainly because I already know the type of treatment that I would receive in most cases if she were doing more than I was financially in particular. She's going to try to dominate me. And that's the problem. That's something that I can't deal with. I can't see myself ever being dominated by a woman. And that's what happens a lot of times. Women become domineering when they feel like they're doing better financially.
Go ahead, Erica.
I was going to say a lot of it also depends on how old you are, like where you're at in your life. So 10, 15, 20 years ago, I was absolutely willing, and I have built, with my partner, because we were at that era, like this is what we do. I think you get to a certain age, a certain point, it's like, I need you already built. I'm too old to be, and we too old to be, trying to do all this. So, I know it may come off. I'm not a gold digger by means, not at all. But I found that when I have tried, dating men that make a significantly, lower amount, that also hindered, you know, some of the rooms that they've been into. So when I said that in some rooms I can't bring some of those men in, it's because when I've tried to, it's been embarrassing because they didn't know how to be in those rooms. They didn't know, how to dress, how to talk, how to eat, So it's more so is we need to have these things in common. I'm not doing tit for tat. I don't walk around saying, "Oh, I'm a boss and I make this. What do you make?" No, 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 no. That's not what it is. And I'm not going tit for tat. But these tax brackets are different than these tax brackets. So I'm sorry. I'm not building with no man in my 40s. I can't even do it. He
Erica,
needs to
I
come pretty
understand
built
that.
up
I
and we can
understand that,
continue.
Erica. I understand that, Erica. But the problem is you're referring to tax brackets, but everything that you've described, like bringing them into the room, things about his character, right? Way before I had money go on for me, I knew I could go into any room. You could bring me to any bando, you could bring me to any building. I'm going to be fine. And I've been in those places and I can still go places. Way before I had any type of money going on. None of that. I know how to talk to people. Having a person who has a sound mind doesn't necessarily reflect on their tax bracket. That's different. Those are two different things. And it seems like you keep bringing those two together.
Also, I wanted
That's
to
because a lot of them have correlation. A lot of them have a lot of not for every situation, but a lot of them correlate. A lot of it is socioeconomic. It really boils down to that.
But I
and
also
I just
want to say this though.
I
When
think
you're
that's
talking
exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
I think that's exactly what we're talking about is the problem that we are conflating the two. And we're judging men's character by their tax bracket. And I gave a perfect example of less like a man who would have been a teacher. So, of course, he's educated, right? It's more than likely that he's going to be able to know how to conduct himself. But he's not going to have that money that you're talking about. And there's plenty of other examples of men that are great men that would care for you, that would love you, that would spend time with you, right? That would be able to do everything that you want a man to do aside from finances.
And I wouldn't say that to minimize the finances, right? Because I do feel like that at a certain point, right, it's just some things that are no longer considered a qualifier for me because it's already my expectations. I expect you to come here with a car. I expect you to come here with a job. I expect you to come here with your own house. So those things are not even a part of the conversation anymore. But what you're talking about is somebody who's simply cultured. And I can promise you, I probably come from one of the most poorest families ever. And I got just as much experience in different spaces as anybody. Like my intelligence alone has afforded me to be in rooms that I never even thought I would be in. And my mother has a speech impediment and my father never graduated high school. So I don't think that this is a thing of actual men's money. Everything you're speaking about is character. You wanted him to have a persona. You wanted him to have a certain niche. And that's why I say you're not stuck on the money. I don't believe you're actually stuck on the money. The money is the cover up. You're actually stuck on something else. You're stuck on the ideology that he doesn't fit the mold to make you feel confident when you introduce him to people.
But here's the thing with this. All of that being said, money does not build character. Money doesn't build character. People build character. When you're around people, you learn certain mannerisms, what's not right in certain rooms. You know not to go to a dinner table at a place and dress in some sneakers at a high-end 5-star restaurant. You know to dress in some nice clothes. You can teach people how to do things just based on what you know. So when you say in tit for tat, is it that you don't want to teach somebody something that you feel like you already know? Because then you could just say that I don't feel like teaching somebody something that I feel like they should already know. Then you need to find somebody that fits all those things that you know. You wouldn't want to date somebody that you don't want to teach. But that's a part of being a part in a partnership. You're supposed to teach one another. So if you're not willing to do that with that person, there shouldn't be any partnership there.
You hit the nail on the head.